Hello, bass family, and welcome to Everything Bass. I've been traveling around this world for a long time, and I've been playing bass for over 30 years, and I've been lucky enough to be involved with bass publications, doing clinic tours for different companies, touring with different bands, and get a lot of conversations. And a question that I get a lot, and still, especially since starting this channel, is I'll get questions from players saying, hey, I'm new to the instrument, should I start on the 4-string, or do I have to start on a 4-string? And the quick answer is no. You could start on whatever bass you want to start on. But let me also give you a little background why that whole question exists in the first place. Early on, so I started playing bass in 1984, and there was a lot of reasons that teachers and people you'd read in magazines, or at least I read in magazines, or I would even hear, I worked at a music store, I'd hear sales guys talking to other bass players, hey, if you're just starting, it's smart to start on the 4. And at the time, it probably was, and I'll give you a couple reasons. One is, at that time, the 5-string, 6-string basses were pretty new and pretty darn expensive. So it was cheaper to get a 4-string, plus more stores carried 4 strings than 5 strings or 6 strings. 6 strings at that time were like in my music store, we never had a 6-string bass while I worked there. Getting strings, it was a lot easier to get strings for 4-string basses. So that in itself was a huge reason to get a 4-string. Internet shopping wasn't a thing back then. Internet resources. Oh, speaking of resources, back in the day, all your books were written for 4-string. Just at that time, Starlicks video and Hotlicks videos were just getting going, and in the first years, they were pretty much 4-string players. So you see why a lot of teachers and a lot of people would say, if you're going to start bass, start on the 4-string. But that doesn't exist anymore for the reasons, kind of the opposite reasons of what was experienced in the 80s. Now you can actually get quality 5-string, quality 6-string basses at a much more affordable price. It's obviously so much easier to buy strings for them. There's tons of resources online. Private instructors don't shy away from them anymore. At least I don't. I teach private, and I don't. You can show up with crazy basses. I had a guy show up with an 8-string bass, which is a 4-string bass, but with octave strings. I didn't care. Just I adjusted a couple bits of the technique, and all the theory still applies. So, so now the question becomes, okay, I don't have to start on a 4-string bass. What bass should I start on? And that honestly, you can seek input, but the whole decision comes down to you. But I can give you some starting points that might help. One, who do you like? What are some of the bands you listen to? I started off, my heroes were Stanley Clarke, Jeff Berlin, Jaco Pastorius, Adam West. At the time, Adam was only playing 4-string that I knew about. And in the rock world, Steve Harris, Ian Hill, gosh, a lot of my favorite players were 4-string players. So I started on a 4-string because of that, but also because, it was a lot easier and cheaper. But who are your favorite players? If you're a John Patitucci guy, he's the guy that got you just fired up to pick up the bass the first time. Maybe you want to look at a 6-string bass, Maybe follow some of the prog bands that use 7-string basses. It's really coming down to, what's your passion? Because if you bought a 4-string, but you really, really admire John Patitucci and you're trying to learn a lot of his lines, it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to do. You could buy his, there's some books out there with his transcriptions, and you'd find that you'd have to be moving around. That could be a pain in the butt. Now, are you thought of less if you start on 4? Absolutely not, man. Absolutely not. For all the reasons I mentioned. Look at all the absolute heroes out there that play 4-string primarily. And they're just monster players. No, 4-string I still think that 4-string has a ton of untapped potential. And that's what keeps me fired up to practice it every day. So yeah, do an inventory about who you listen to, who you like, watch them on YouTube, seek out videos of these players that you admire and look at the basses they're playing, and that could be a big clue. But really, I think it comes down to you going to a local guitar shop that has a good bass guy, someone who really understands the bass. And most guitar shops have someone that is their bass specialist. Just ask. And then ask them if you could play through some, try them on. Try a 4-string on, play through it, then try a 5-string. Don't get hung up if the 5-string seems big, because as your hands haven't been conditioned to play bass yet, and once you get these, your stretch down and your flexibility and strength, you could play almost any size bass neck. But that's real key. It would almost be foolhardy to make a decision without actually playing one of the basses. So, try to find a music store that has a 4 or 5 and a 6-string or whatever you're interested in, and go and play it. And not only play it, ask the salesman to play it so you can just hear it being played. And do these things, and I think you'll become more informed about which bass is the right one for you to start on. Now in this video we're just talking about how many strings, because there's a lot of questions like, should I get a jazz bass, should I get a Music Man style bass, should I get a bass like with a Music Man pickup and a jazz pickup? That's for other video, but right now just what number of strings. But the key has to be, get your hands on one, hang around. Do you have a friend that you admire that plays bass? Ask them if you can go over to his or her house and play their basses and get their input. Don't let them sway you too much, because you could, if you ask the question, should I learn on a 4-string, 5-string, 6-string, and they say, oh, definitely 6-string, absolutely 6-string, there's no other answer, there's another answer. It's just they're passionate about that, and you can take that, but don't make that influence you beyond your own experiences. So, do you need to start playing bass on a 4-string? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Just search through your record collection, study, ask questions, get your experience on, and the best part is, again, they're more affordable now, so you can buy one. And ultimately, I have 4s and 5s. I don't have 6 yet, although I'm thinking about getting one for this one musical project I'm in. You'll ultimately probably end up with a variety of basses, and that's okay too. That's great. Okay, that's the dream. Anyway, guys, I hope this video helps, especially if you were kind of deadlocked about not knowing which bass to get to start with. Hopefully it gave you some action points. Ask questions, go online, look at your favorite bass players, what's he or she playing, how many strings, get kind of a tally going, and then go down to a music store and check it out. All right, and of course, if you have any questions, put in the comments below. Hey, I went to the music store, I tried this bass, this bass, this bass, and then throw out any questions that if you're still on the fence, and maybe the whole community can chime in and give you not the answer themselves, but maybe a path where you can find the answer yourself. Okay? Great, guys. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Please like, share, subscribe, grow this channel. It's been just the best part of this crummy year 2020 has been getting this family together, having interactions with you guys every single day. It just means the world to me, and I love you so much, and I'll see you at the next video. Cool. See you.